Is there a more legendary place to celebrate St. Patrick's Day than Ireland? Our travel guide, Gabe Saglie, is back on the Emerald Isle. He's here with more. Good morning, Gabe. How are you?
James, I've been keeping count. 15 times now I'm out here for St. Patrick's Day in Ireland. My 25th trip out here after all. It feels very much at home for me right now, and there's a lot of people who are joining me today for sure.
I can see that. So set the scene for us. Record crowds, including a huge American audience.
Yeah, certainly. We're expecting a record crowd, close to 600,000 people descending on the historic streets of Dublin for this year's parade. Here's a live look from one of several camera angles that we've got here. And the crowds are thick, and there are thousands of performers who are on this 1.5-mile parade route through the streets of downtown Dublin. And you said it, a huge American presence as well. This year, there are no fewer than 8 marching bands representing different high schools and colleges from across the USA. This is a band out of, if I'm not mistaken, this is a band out of, I'm thinking, Wisconsin. That's right. It's a band out of Wisconsin. And some of these bands, James, have hundreds of performers in them. They bring their family and friends. You think about how many thousands and thousands of people are out here, certainly cheering on their family and friends in these marching bands, and also tapping into their Irish roots. Keep in mind, 33 million Americans claim some degree of Irish heritage. Not bad for a little island with just about 6.5 million residents. And I think, James, a lot of them are out here today.
You know, not bad at all. So the U.S. marching bands on the parade. There also is a huge international battle of the bands.
Yeah. And that happens every year in a little city called Limerick, which is where I got to hang out over the last couple of days. That's on the west coast of Ireland, about a 2.5-hour drive across the island to the west coast. Limerick, a beautiful medieval city, but they've, for 54 years, have been hosting a very well-known international marching band competition. Those are the guys from Wisconsin there who were part of that parade competition over the weekend. I have to say, there was a marching band out of a high school in Texas that won most entertaining marching band, and there's a high school band out of Gilbert, Arizona that won for best international band overall. So a lot of pride amongst these American marching bands. And by the way, James, will spend 2, 3, in some cases 4 years fundraising to be able to get themselves and all of those instruments out here across the Atlantic to Ireland and to participate in what are some of the more recognizable marching band competitions. And then, of course, the culmination of it all, the big prize is this, being able to be part of what is considered the most spectacular St. Patrick's Day parade in the world. An amazing amount of pomp and circumstance, spectacular floats, and again, a lot of marching bands out of the USA, which generates a lot of pride across this audience for sure.
Now, this is your 25th visit to Ireland. You're always visiting a new part of the country. What have you discovered this time?
Okay, so I hung out in Limerick. That's on the west coast of Ireland, along what's called the Wild Atlantic Way, a gorgeous part of the country. If you're coming into Ireland, you can fly into a little airport called Shannon, which puts you right out there on that west coast. A couple of things I did, James, that I highly recommend. I visited King John's Castle, dating back to the early 1200s. Beautifully preserved. You want to learn about, dive into Irish history, or just history about this ancient part of the world. King John's Castle stuff to beat. If you want to learn about the whiskey industry in Ireland, there's a place out there called Mother Mac's, a historic place here. I learned about Irish coffee. You know, Irish coffee was invented here in County Limerick in this part of the world. 20 years ago, you would have had maybe 4 distilleries in Ireland. Today, 46. So the industry's growing in a big way. And Irish coffee, by the way, which is coffee, whiskey, a little sugar, and a lot of that thick Irish cream. Delicious way to spend the afternoon. And finally, the Limerick Milk Market. This is a wonderful snapshot of the regionality of Irish cuisine. And this is a marketplace that opens up on the weekends. You want the freshest possible cheeses, breads, fish that have been pulled out of the Atlantic Ocean, produce. This is where you're meeting those farmers, meeting those producers, meeting those purveyors. The eating is phenomenal, and it reminds you that the food out here, the dining, is very regionally driven. It's as fresh as it gets. It's good for you, and it tastes absolutely delicious. So a couple of things I did while out there in this beautiful little city of Limerick. And then I drove about 2.5 hours, got myself to the East Coast here to Dublin. And this is the party that greeted me, James. Had a great time.
I've been talking with Gabe Saglie. He is on the Emerald Isle. They are celebrating St. Patty's Day. I see you have on your green suit. All you need is your hat And Notre Dame right there. Notre Dame,
There you
man.
go.
There you go.
There you go. Right?
Thanks
We
again.
have them right here, buddy.
Yeah, thanks again.
Cheers.
Cheers.